It's been described as physical chess, a sport which relies on skills, tactics, and strategy.
The fencer needs to be independent, need to make decisions alone, and you need to learn how to be patient.
As a preparation for armed combat, fencing is as old as the sword itself. Today, the modern adaptation of this ancient sport is practiced in 145 countries. And in Africa, the popularity of the sport has challenged a new generation of fighters.
Oh! If we were looking, let's say, 20 years ago, it was just 5 countries and a few other countries with the absolute beginners. Now the sport is developing very, very well.
This is the future of fencing. This is Inside Africa. The modern-day fencer is skilled in the use of 3 different weapons: foil, ipe, and saber. These sporting weapons are lightweight, flexible, and without sharp points or edges. But in the right hands, they are dangerously effective. While injuries are rare and all fencers wear protective gear, every competitor who steps to the line knows it's still a high-stakes duel.
I just never really looked at anything else, because when I started fencing, I liked it and we kept on doing it, and there was just never really anything else that we tried.
I would like to win the World Championships and the Olympic Games one day.
Natanya and Christian Bester are not short on ambition, and with good reason.
In under 17s, I'm ranked number 1. In under 20s, I'm also ranked number 1. And in seniors, I'm ranked number 2.
Currently, I'm ranked number 1 in South Africa for juniors and seniors.
Their lives revolve around fencing. They spend hours every day on the piste and have the full support of their parents. So much so, their father Neil built them their very own fencing facility.
A couple of years ago, we really started struggling with facilities because a fencing hall, it has to be fairly large. There's not that many available, and at the club where they were, there were a lot of issues. The university, there were a lot of issues with the students. So for a long time, they didn't have anywhere to train. So at that time, essentially, we said we've got to start looking at a facility for them in case things like this happen. We searched for a place, looked at all kinds of different venues, and eventually we decided the best option was to start something from scratch.
My parents have always been very supportive, and I know my dad really supports us, and he also believes in us, and that is why he built us this entire place that we can train. And he's also really focused on excellence, and he wants us to be the best that we can. Sometimes when you just need to let something go, or in a tough bout, catching up or screaming after a point or something, I like the intensity of fencing, something that when I thought about other sports, I don't really think other sports can offer me that fencing can.
Neil believes one of the keys to his young athletes' success is all-round fitness training. He focuses on a strength training program that complements the development of his fencers.
I believe they should be tough. And you can only become tough and get confidence if you train hard. So I would help them to become tough by assisting them in non-fencing related training and exercises so that they can be tough in all areas of life, not just in a sport. We built a climbing wall because climbing wall is not something that would work against fencing. We've got some slam balls so that they can develop some explosive power. We've got some ropes so they can climb ropes to develop their upper bodies. So fencing typically, especially in South Africa, you will see fencers have very strong legs, but sometimes they neglect to build their upper bodies. So because of my background in wrestling, I focus a little bit more on the upper body strength than on the leg strength.
Yes, beat hit to the foot, and then beat flick on the hand.
To hone their technical skills, the Besters rely on a world-renowned coach. Once ranked among the top fencers in Russia, he moved to South Africa 20 years ago.
These two, Natanya Besta and Christian Besta, are the only South African fencers who managed to win African championship in junior and cadet that no one previously in the history of South African fencing managed to do that. So they are the first champions of that kind.
With the National Senior Championships just a few weeks away, expectations are high for the Besters.
I think they'll do well. They work hard and mentally they are strong, and that's essentially all you need.
Fencers ready. Fence.
In a sport traditionally dominated by European countries,
On guard foot.
South African fencers have begun their rise. The keys to their success ahead.